Welcome, everyone, to your very first training session in this new series, which I entitled Growing the Best Business in 2019. I want to focus on not just getting new customers, but growing the kind of customers that are the best, ones that are spending and engaging and attending classes and are loyal to you. I also want to talk to you about building the best team. Just getting new team members is not enough. We want to focus on team members that are going to buy and sell and engage and promote and be active with the team. If they're a hobbyist or not, or a business builder, they all will make a difference. And lastly, what we're going to start off with today is building the best you. Running your business when you're continually overwhelmed or stressed or desperate or you feeling out of control is not going to give you the best results that you need. I want to focus on giving you time management help and ways for you to be able to take control of your business. It's not enough to just keep your head above water and barely swim and feel like you're drowning. I want you to thrive and grow and be focused and move forward and taking actions that you're passionate about and excited about. We want to talk about this today to help you get that firm foundation so that when we talk about the customers and the team, that it's going to fall on someone who has an open heart, an open mind, and ready to build the best business that you possibly can. And so much of that starts with your attitude and your faith. And right down to brass knuckles, it is about your schedule, which really will take into effect your consistency and discipline. But before we get started, I just want to welcome all of you and tell you how grateful I am that you are spending the next 3 weeks along with me. Just to tell you a little bit about myself, for those of you who have never heard it before, some of you, this is the first time that you've ever taken a Rhonda Wade training. And for some of you, you have been with me for the last 10 years. And I'm so grateful that you're still here and working on continually, all of us working on building bigger and better businesses that serve our customers in a bigger and better way. For those of you who don't know, I've been a demonstrator for over 18 years. And over 10 years ago, I decided to build a side business, training and motivating demonstrators. I know the positive aspect of teaching you from a place of experience and one that works, and all demonstrators working and sharing together. I take the ability of being able to understand where you're coming from, the steps that you're walking in, and find ways to help you to build the business that you want. So I'm grateful that you're here. I'm starting off this new year with this current series because I believe in these things right now, that they are pertinent to helping you build your business at this point exactly. I have the beautiful blessing of being able to talk to hundreds of demonstrators on a monthly basis, many of them daily and weekly. I understand so many of the struggles that we have, and I see where most demonstrators are getting held up and where they're struggling, no matter their level, if they have in their top 100 or if they're just starting off their business. So I take those challenges and those struggles, and I have created a series I believe that will help you to be able to build a stronger business, no matter what level that you're falling within this. That is where the information comes from. Know that no matter what, I'm always going to teach you from a place of experience, not what we think might work or what I'm hoping is going to work, but things that I know are effective. Not only because do I see them in my current business, but my Rubber Queen team, and also the hundreds and hundreds of training clients that I've worked, thousands of training clients that I've worked with currently and in the past 10 years. So we are going to take the best that I have to offer, and I'm going to give you all that I can to help you build the business you want to for this year. Now let's jump in and get started. We're going to begin with the best you. I want to build a foundation so that the next 2 weeks that we fall into are going to fall in on more of a sponge that's not full, but I want a sponge that's ready and open to soaking in everything that you're going to learn and then to take action on it. So we're going to cover 4 topics today: time management, delegating and getting help, positive attitude and faith, and creating the business that you desire. Now, you should have a handbook that I did for you as well that will have a lot more information. This PowerPoint is just going to be the main topics, but you're going to follow along with your handbook, and I will give you places in there to take notes, but you can also take your own notes that you want to as well. I want to start off with creating a business that is not ran out of a place of overwhelm and stress, but instead intentional and focused. When we are running a business in a stressed out mode, we will eventually not give the best we have to our customers, our team, and most importantly, our families. No matter how busy you are, no matter how busy, if you have a plan, a schedule, and a purpose, you can still be very successful. So let's jump into the first topic, time management. This is created, and I'm going to give you some tools. I have a very simple weekly calendar schedule that I'm going to share with you. And then obviously you're going to fill in with the notes that we're going to go through in several different topics. But time management is created by discipline, a schedule, and elimination. Consistency with time management is going to be imperative. Your body is very smart. Your brain is very smart, and it's going to adjust to a schedule once you stick to it for a few weeks. So the discipline in the beginning is so important. And then obviously as you go, continuing with that discipline is going to keep your body. You might think you can never get it all done, but I'm here to tell you, you will, because your body is an amazing machine, and it adjusts to what you put into it and what you do with it. So when you start to keep an hourly and weekly schedule, your body will follow along, and so will your brain, and so will your family and your friends and everyone around you. Time management is about what hours do you have to, I'm going to ask you these questions, and you're going to write down these answers. This is very important that you actually write this stuff down. So these next two slides and these next two parts of your handbook require you to actually go back in and take notes, go back and write them down, go get a blank piece of paper, but you're going to need to brainstorm and work through this. I know what I do in my business. I know what most demonstrators do in their business, but we all do different things. There's definitely different business models. So you have to fill in what you need to fill in each one of these topics. So the first question is, what hours do you have to work? What hours do you have to give to your business? Figure that out. Some of you work full time, so you only have 2 or 3 hours in an evening to give to your business and on your weekends. Maybe some of you homeschool, or you take care, you work part-time. Everyone's schedules are so different. No matter what, we all have a full-time job somewhere, some shape or form. It might be out of the house. It might be taking care of young children. It might be taking care of older parents. It might be, homeschooling with a part-time job. We all have jobs to work around. The most important thing, though, when you figure out the hours that you're going to give to your business, you need to talk to your family and your friends to establish that schedule. You need them to respect your business as well. It doesn't help if you're going to plan on working 3 hours a day if you haven't told your husband that, or if you haven't told your kids that, because they will continue to interrupt you and veer you off because you've not given your business the respect that it needs to require business hours. So once you've set those business hours, you need to communicate them. Communicate them to your family, your spouse if you have one, a partner if you have one, children if you have one, whoever's living with you. You need to communicate that to your team and to your customers, so that you're getting frustrated if they're contacting you at night, but that's probably because you have not communicated with them. I can't talk to you at night. Those are not my business hours. It's not the time I have to work. Or maybe you can't work during the day because you work full time. Your team and your customers need to know that, so that you will get a hold of them when you are working. Next, if you're creating an exercise plan, this is just a concept. When are you going to work, and what are you going to do with that time, and who are you going to do it with? I love comparing this to a exercise schedule, an exercise plan. So if I was going to start saying to myself, Rhonda, I'm going to work out so I can get healthier and stronger or lose weight, I got to figure out, first of all, when am I going to work out? In the mornings, in the afternoons, at lunch break? Like, it doesn't ever just happen. Working your business isn't just going to happen. You have to have specific time that you're going to work. Now that I figured out when I'm going to do my exercising, the next question is, what am I going to do? Am I going to walk? Am I going to go to a gym? Am I going to get a personal trainer? Am I going to do Pilates, yoga, kickboxing? There's so many things that you can do. You have to figure out what you're going to do with that time. And lastly, I'm here to tell you that everything is better when you do it with somebody who is going to hold you accountable. Whenever I've had any successful exercise program, I've always had a working out partner or someone that's working out at the same time I am, so we can hold each other accountable. It's the same thing with your business. Who's going to work with you? What teammates are you going to do it with? Or maybe having a helper in your office with you, in your studio with you. Doing it with somebody is going to help hold you accountable. This is your customers, your teammates, a friend, a family member. But no matter what, if this is going to work, I am telling you right now, having a posse of people who believe in you and believe in your vision, having them around you and sharing your schedule with them is going to help keep you accountable. Lastly, what can you take out of your current schedule that is not revenue generating? We are going to have to probably eliminate some of those activities, so that gives you room to do some of the positive things that you need to do. Let's talk about what you should have on your calendar. These are just some suggestions that I'm assuming all of you have, that we need to figure out the time. So now that you have figured out what time you can give, right? What hours are you going to work? Be specific. Exactly what days and what hours do you have to give to your business? So the first step is get a really good planner, or just use the simple weekly calendar that I shared with you, that you're going to be able to download on the page where you're accessing this training. In order to get disciplined, you need to write down everything you need to do in a day or a week or a month on your calendar. Don't just hold it up in your head. I know you're just like me. Our heads are too full of everything else going on, that if we don't write it down, it's going to fall through the cracks and it's going to be hard for you to stay consistent with it. So at least for the next month, you need to write down every activity. If it's answering emails, doing a blog post, designing for a class, sending out thank you cards, a one-on-one with a teammate, working on Facebook, whatever it is, I need you to write it down on a calendar. If you have a good planner, go with that. If you don't have one, buy one. Or again, just literally use the simple calendar that I can share with you. Your time that you're able to give is unique and individual to each of you. The one act that is very imperative is to start taking control of your calendar instead of your calendar taking control of you. So we're going to start by writing it down and putting in and plugging in what you need to work on. Some of you don't do any blogging, so that doesn't need to be on there. Some of you only do, one live class, but 4 online classes. So you have a lot more designing and a lot more blogging to do. Everybody's businesses are different, and your time that you put into your business in different areas is going to be different for each one of you. So these are the things I believe that should go on your calendar, and you need to write them down. And there's plenty of other smaller things, but these are the main things. Number 1, when are your events? Put them in your calendar and keep them consistent. Same events each month, so that your customers and your body and your brain and your families can all get on a consistent calendar and schedule. Now, every month I always encourage you to plug in one extra event that might boost your sales, or plug in your private classes. You can plug in extra things, but keep the most important usual classes recurring and put them in there first. Next, you need time to design. This is so important. This should be a priority. It should be the time that you put in there the most. If you are a creative person, you're you have a creative business. If you don't have time set aside to create, you're not going to have a business. You're not going to have a product to be able to market. You need beautiful projects to show so that you'll have the passion to share them, the projects to market, and designs that your customers are going to fall in love with. The sooner you can have your projects ready and on display or to market in advance, the better attendance your class is going to be and the less stressed you'll be about those. Now, I always don't recommend working too far in advance because some of the things that you might be focusing on might end up going on back order, and so you have to be a little bit careful about that as well. But you have to have time to design. When are you going to do that? Let me give you an example of a schedule that I keep for my designing, my events, and my prep. So these first three things, because the next one, you have to have time to prep for your classes. Think realistically, how long is this going to take? So you don't bite off more than you can chew and try to squeeze it in too short of a time so that you become very stressed. Many times, big picture thinkers underestimate how long it's going to take to prepare for something. But once your classes are consistent, this will become so much easier, and you'll be able to project how long a class is going to take much more realistic. So you want to make sure that you're putting the proper prep time down for your classes. But let me give you an example. This is how I can keep it so basic. But the very first week of any month is my time to design. It's when I design for all my classes in that month, all of my events. Some weeks it may be 10 projects, and some weeks it might be 40 projects because I have 5 or 6 classes that I'm doing. But the first week is always my time to design. So I have 4 or 5 days set aside for that designing process. The second week is my week to be able to take all my pictures and do my marketing and create all my events, and then to market. So I can start marketing usually the second, I start the marketing process the beginning of the month with advertising for my classes without pictures probably, but just these are the events that I have on my calendar, start signing up. The second week, I can do my second push of marketing. It's all about marketing that second week. And I have, snippets of pictures to show, graphics to show, and I can continue to do marketing. So I have 2 weeks to be able to market for events. I don't have to juggle that with any prep, any cutting, any events, anything. I can focus on those 2 main things. Then the third week and the fourth week of my month are all about, prepping and preparing and punching and cutting and packaging, and then actually holding my events. So then by that time rolls around, it's the first week of the next month, and I begin all over again, designing, marketing, prepping and preparing, and then holding the events. And so that way, I don't try to mix too much of that together, and it gets overwhelming and stressed. And it's something that works for me, it works for my brain. And trust me, I can have upwards of to be honest, like 200 to 300 to 400 classes that leave my studio or happen in my studio between all of the events that I do. And that happens because I do have a couple helpers that help with the prep work, but it's all about a consistent schedule so that my body and my brain and my customers know what to expect from me. So that's just an example that works for me. Not that you have to follow that. You can have your classes be held the second week, prepare the third week, and so on and so on. But that way you have an idea of how you can get yourself in the prepping, the designing, and the actual holding of classes and the marketing of classes in a very consistent routine. Next, you also need time to train your team. When are you going to do this? I always recommend daily Facebook interaction. That can take 5 or 10 minutes. A weekly email, again, maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes. Weekly phone calls with your leaders or new recruits. And then a monthly team meeting. I also recommend monthly recognition cards and social media posts with your team. These are the things that need to be put on your calendar. Next, time for customer service. When are you going to do your thank you cards? When are you going to text follow-up messages or just text your customers? When are you going to do your swapping? To me, swapping is about customer service. I like to have displays on hand for my customers to be able to see. I also like to be able to make maybe some little customer gifts to put into one of my classes or have them at my next class, like little pillow gifts. or make pillow gifts for my retreats. This is all about customer service. So when am I going to put that in there? Next, time for personal self-care. This is one that is difficult. It's so difficult because we always put ourselves last. I've taken a huge commitment to taking care of my personal self many times throughout my business, times where I've done it intently and times I let it go. And I can honestly say that the better I take care of myself, the better my business goes, and the better my family runs, because I'm the best version of me instead of being, sleep deprived, dehydrated, lethargic, or, out of control of my body. So when do you have time for walking, exercising, eating your meals? So many of you skip meals all day long, and that just sets your body up for holding on to extra calories, and you need food to fuel you throughout the day. 5 or 6 small meals is so much healthier than 1 or 2 big ones. And actually starving yourself does the opposite of what you think it's going to. It makes your body hang on to calories and to hang on to anything, and it won't let it run your body and do what it's supposed to do. When are you going to sleep? Your brain and your creative being and your proper thought processes, your ability to stay positive and to solve issues and to work with people is so much better when you're not sleep deprived. When are you going to drink your water and your fluids? I've learned very much a lot about being dehydrated and how it also makes it difficult for your brain to function, and muscle cramps and headaches and the overwhelming feeling that happens when you become dehydrated. You're drinking your 60 to 70 ounces of fluids a day is imperative for you to function at your best. Next, time with friends and family. Giving up that is not worth it for your business. You need to have time to rejuvenate your heart, your soul, and everything about you. So if it might be Bible studies with your friends, coffee with your friends, hanging out with your family members, spending time with your children, you need to make sure that becomes a priority for you and taking care of your brain and your heart just as much as your business. And lastly, just quiet time. Quiet time for prayer, quiet time for meditation, quiet time for rest. Sometimes it might be a 30-minute nap in the afternoon for some of you, but we need to rejuvenate your brain and your soul and your spirit to be able to give the best that you can give to everyone else around you. Sometimes we take care of everybody else and we take the back seat, and that ends up hurting everybody. Lastly, time to execute your social media plan. For all of you, that's different. You need to set that yourself. Does that mean you're going to work just Facebook? Does that mean you're going to blog, and how often are you going to blog? That means checking your emails, and how much time are you going to spend on Facebook, and how much time are you going to spend on blogging? That all needs to be put into your social media plan. But understand it's a plan, and it needs to be scheduled, and there needs to be time there. It can't just be working however much you can work, because I know a lot of people who do that and they become very burnt out, and some days they don't feel like, some weeks they don't feel like working, and then they go weeks without blogging or weeks without working their social media, and that's not effective. So work out that plan. What is that going to look like for you? There's a lot of space on there for you to fit in what works for you. And I can even share with you a social media plan that's real simple about what you're going to do each week and what that activity is going to be to work your social media plan. I can give you an example. I use Facebook Live and Facebook more than I might use a blog, and that's okay. That's my plan. I email 3 times a week, but somebody else might blog 3 times a week. That's okay. I get results more from email, and that's where I put my time. So it doesn't mean that someone who blogs 3 days a week is not even more successful than I am. Or for me, who emails 3 times a week and uses Facebook, isn't as successful as somebody who does all blogging and videos on YouTube. It just means that sometimes we have to pick and choose what we do, and we can't do them all. So you got to set up your plan, and that plan can change. That plan can absolutely change. but what are you going to do right now so that you have it scheduled in your calendar? I know this seems like a lot, but it can be done with discipline and consistency and help. Truthfully, help is there for you. Lastly, I want to talk to you about just simply eliminating distractions. Eliminating distractions is so important when it comes to helping you to be able to focus on what you're doing. So many times the reason why we veer off of our calendar is simply because we are getting distracted. So that might mean simply just putting your phone away into a drawer while you're trying to be creative. That means maybe leaving it. I charge my phone in a different room, and then that way when I'm working, I'm working. When I'm prepping for a class, I close my computer down and I put it away until that class is done being prepared for. So a lot of times it's just about eliminating the distractions around you, not answering the phone, not closing down your Facebook tab if you're on your computer. Maybe you're creating, or you're doing video work or something. Closing down your tabs and focusing on what you're doing. This requires that discipline. Next, we're going to talk about getting help, because I know what we just talked about. I mean, even I went through it like, wow, that's a lot of things to fit into a week, especially if you can't even work this full time. But the truth is, it can all be done with eliminating distractions and that discipline and consistency. And next, I really honestly will tell you to rely upon delegating and getting help. The strongest leaders are the ones that surround themselves with the most people and the most help. Not the ones that push themselves to do it all. Letting go of some of that control over everything is very important for your own mental state, the ability to get things done, and to build a strong team around you. Start by first having maybe some of your current leaders or team members help you with Facebook content and with meeting duties. So see how I had that team training on there? It's daily Facebook and weekly emails and monthly trainings. All of that can be helped. So much of that can be delegated with the leaders within your team. Not only is it going to help you, free up some of your time and to be consistent, but it's also going to help them to build them into a future leader or a stronger leader. You can have them rotate each month, and then you can pull in a few new stampers along the way to show a cute project or two. Or if you blog, don't be afraid to get a guest blogger. Have a team member that you might have blog or give you some projects to use, so that way you don't have to do it all the time. It's about servicing your customers and teaching them new ways to make things. You can also have a new team member or customer come help you in your stamp room to prepare for classes, to stamp swap cards, to help you with thank you cards. Typically, I would start with a team member who loves to come to my classes, and I will start to allow her to come to my classes for free if she comes in and helps me in my stamp room. The reason why I choose this is because it's the best form of training as well. It's a win-win situation for both of you. They see how to prepare for a class and learn the process, and they get to come to your class for free, and you get a whole extra set of hands. I'm telling you right now, my two hands can only do so much. But when I have Michelle's sets and Susan's set and Jane's set and Nancy's set and Chris's set and everybody else's set of hands, we can get so much done. And we are that much more powerful because of it. Now, these two topics kind of go hand in hand. So every week you want to do your time management schedule, right? So as I'm working my time management each week, the first thing I realize when I can't get it all done is I start to plug in help. I see, when am I going to design for my classes? When am I going to prepare? When am I going to do the cutting and the prep? When am I going to do everything else, thank you cards, team training, and all of a sudden I realize I don't have enough hours because I also have, an appointment with a doctor. I have a Friday dinner date with my husband. I have my son's school program that have to go in there as well. So now all of a sudden I don't have enough time. So instead of dropping the ball and not getting something done, instead just plug in some help. But if you're not working that schedule and your calendar each week, then things will continue to creep up on you and creep up on you. And then you'll get behind. And then that's when things fall through the cracks and balls start to drop and you get overwhelmed. Instead of beating yourself up because you're not getting it done or you're not good enough, just realize that you're not designed to do it all. You're building a business, my friend. You're building an empire and a business. And no business out there is successful as a one-man show. You tell me what successful company at anywhere is created by just one strong person, but it's not. It's built and created by a strong leader with many, many individuals and helpers around them. That goes true in this stamping world and in any other industry out there. Everybody that I know that has a successful business typically has a strong team that's there helping them, helpers that come around them, customers, and you are no different. What's different is they ask and then they get. So you have to be open to asking and looking for helpers. So there's a few things to keep in mind as we're looking for those helpers. Number one is how do you pay and compensate them? I typically always start off with a free class or free product. Pretty much for the first 15 years that I've had helpers, or maybe 14, no, about 15 years, I only paid in product, or usually it's classes. Again, I look for team members who love to come to my classes. I don't want their money. I'd rather have them come work beside me and help me, and then they're getting trained, they're learning, we're having fun together, we laugh and we just have fun. And they then get to come to my class for free because they love to stamp. This can be a hobbyist. That's what I look for first. Then sometimes I look for customers who want to come to my classes but maybe can't afford it, or they want the product but they don't have enough money because maybe they're for whatever reason. So I'll ask them too, hey, if you want to come to my classes, you can come and take my class for free. So really this does not cost me that much. I mean, I just have to provide the class for them. And I may get, I usually give about $10 an hour for either class fees or product. The other thing I do is if I have helpers, I see them, where can they help me maybe save some time that will help me save some money so that then I can take that money and use it towards purchasing them products to compensate them. Eventually, some of you might get big enough and busy enough and making enough money that you can afford to actually have a helper that you pay for. And they may do some more difficult, they might do some tutorial work for you or email work for you or helping you with communication, helping you with design work if they have that talent. But that really doesn't happen until you get your business a little bit bigger. Next thing, you want to make sure you have a beginning conversation. Whenever I have a helper come, I always kind of set the groundwork first. First I don't hire them right away. I have them come and try it, and I may have them come once a week for a little while to see how they work out. Are they doing a good job? And let them know that we're here to work. So as much as I love you, we can't talk. We're not here to visit. We can visit here and there, but a lot of times I'm counting, I'm focusing, I'm typing, I'm emailing, I'm even doing videos, I'm designing, and we don't have time to do a lot of chit chat. Now, there will be times when we will. So right away, I set the groundwork about talking. There's going to be sometimes to talk and sometimes not to talk, and mostly it's not. But we will have some time. We also have a conversation based upon their output. So sometimes I don't pay helpers hourly because they're really slow. And that's okay if they do a good job. But then I'll pay them by the project. So you have to have those conversations in the very, very beginning so that you don't have different expectations and they don't have different expectations. So during the beginning conversation, we will set the expectations of that. A lot of times I have one really awesome helper, and she might be a little bit slower. And so we talked about, I will pay you by the hour that I think it would take me. And we come up, okay, this is a 5-hour project for me. Is it worth $50 in product for you. And she'll say, yep, I can do that. I'm like, okay, great. Now, it might take her 10 hours because she likes to take her time. She likes to watch TV. She likes to take it home. So we set up the expectations from the very beginning of what I'm going to compensate her for and what's fair to her and what's fair to me, which leads us to open communication. So when I start having a helper who comes in every week, then I want to make sure that she's feeling well compensated and that she's feeling that she's appreciated. It's very important that you are always asking that question, and you need to be able to tell her, okay, I love your last project. Things were falling apart. You weren't using the proper adhesive. Maybe we can take a little bit, you have to, if you want the end result to be what you want it to be, it might not be exactly what you would do, but it's better to be done than not to be done, maybe not perfect, but at least it's done. But I do always think it's important that you communicate with your helpers as to what your expectations are and allow them to be able to feel open to communicate back with you. I've had some very frank conversations with my helpers if either one of us were not meeting each other's needs. And it's never easy, but I want them to be completely happy and love their job, equally happy and love working with me. The next thing is to consider is what can only be done by you. The rest of it you can give to them. You can do the designing, and then they can do the mass producing. They can help with cutting, they can help with prepping. They can help you with filling out envelopes. They can help you with doing packaging. They can help you with, coming up with ideas sometimes. I give my helpers free rein to be creative. If you see a great project, bring it into the studio and we can see what we can do with it. I love seeing what they can do, and again, it's open communication. Don't hurt your feelings if I don't pick it, but I love you to have the free rein to be creative with me as well. But what can only be done by you? Then allow someone else to do those other things. You pretty much will do your own creating, and you will do, filling out sometimes your own thank you cards or the things that you only feel comfortable with, working in your own PayPal or working in your own ordering system. But all those other things you can get some help with. I always ask myself, what falls through the cracks all the time? This is where I need a helper. So ask yourself that. What is always not getting done? You need some help getting it done because you don't have the discipline or the time to do it. I also recommend focusing on how can you give your helper a pleasant workspace. So either creating them a small space within your stamp room or letting them take their stuff home and work at home on their time frame. I think this is very important when I got a helper, is I wanted them to feel important enough to me that I wasn't squeezing them in my messy space, but I created them a space of their own where they could work and take ownership of that space and enjoy where they are working. I also try to sometimes leave little gifts for them because I don't pay them very much, and it's just out of their love and their joy that they're there for. So we want to make sure that they are feeling completely appreciated. Next. This is very important, or probably should have been way up at the beginning, is you want to share your vision with your business, with your helpers. I want them to know that the reason why we put together packages and I do these pillow gifts is we want my customers to feel like Christmas morning. We want them to open their packages and have everything in good condition. My vision is to have customers that will want to sign up every single month for every package. So we have to treat each one like they are the most important package that leaves my studio. Or my vision is to create a classroom that is sunshiny and organized and clean. Can you help me do that? So they will. They'll help you maybe vacuum and clean the tables off and keep things organized and pick up. Or my vision is to have displays that are new and fresh every single month. Can you help me with that? I want the vision I share with my helpers that help at my events, and I share it every time, is I want these customers that are coming here tonight to have a break from reality, to smile, to feel like they are the most important people on the planet to me tonight. Will you help me with that and make them feel that way? So we want to share our visions for what we want for our business with our helpers, because then they will take ownership of them. They will want to see those as well. And they will want to work right beside you. And they're going to feel so proud when those visions are met. Lastly, Look for personality traits in a helper that are actually different than yours, that will complement yours. For instance, I'm a big picture thinker, so I typically like to surround myself with helpers that are detail oriented. They have no interest in doing the big picture. They are too focused on making sure everything gets done. But that's their strength, and when you mix that with my strength, that's when the magic happens. So identify what your strengths are and what are your weaknesses. I know I'm not detail oriented, so I need help in that area. I find helpers that will fill in where I am weak. I can bet that your strength is exactly probably the weakness that she has, and she needs you just as much in her life as you do. Lastly, not lastly, there's two more left, but next is positive attitude and faith. The next two kind of go hand in hand. This should go without saying, but developing a team that is also a positive fortress is imperative for your success. Protect it with all that you have. Positivity at your classes and at your events, online, in your groups, in your words, and your phone conversations is contagious. Many customers or many team members are going to come back to you because of the positiveness. But many customers will not come back because they feel like they're in a negative or a hostile environment. I always say, and I actually say this a lot when it comes to my husband too, but it's the truth. You can choose to be right, or you can choose to be successful and happy. So even if you don't agree with something, even if it's not what you would do, even if it's there's so many instances in here but I'm right. This is the way it should be done. This is how I want it. This is what Stampin' Up should do. This is what this person should do and that person should do, and she should sign up with me and not with her, and this and that. It doesn't matter if you're right. It doesn't matter if you're right or wrong. What matters is that you build a team that is successful and happy, and that's what you have to focus on. We're going to first tackle the faith part of this, and then we're going to talk about the positive, building a positive place. And I have a really great analogy to share with you. The first thing is, now faith is sure of what we hope for, is certain of what we do not see. There's many different faiths I want to go through with you, and I believe all of these faiths are so important in building the best you. I care so much about you because I know what you start with is going to trickle down through everything else that you do. Every person you meet, every customer, every new team member, every leader. And in your empire you're building is going to be built, and you focus on that being a positive fortress. The beauty of owning my own training program is that I can be bluntly and completely honest with you. And I'm my own business. I'm my own boss. I can be honest with you, and I'm going to be honest with you and how I let faith run my business. Number one, I believe we all need faith. There's faith in many different things. The first faith I find is that I need to believe in my supernatural God, because I know building a business takes a supernatural God to give me a supernatural business, a business that far exceeds my wildest dreams, that brings me the right people and leads me down the right paths. This is my prayer every single day, that God brings me the right people into my life and that I go down the right path. I'm knocking on the right door. I am going to offer the right opportunity. We're just humans. We are all the same. I am just regular Rhonda. But I pray that God gives me the ability, and its supernatural ability, to accomplish everything on that to-do list every day, but also to bring the right people into my life that will help me build my business, but more importantly, that will help my business build them. I know we have a life-changing ability and what we have to offer, and I know that there are people out there who need me. I have to find them, and I believe that God leads me to these people. And I pray that every single day. Before I started this series, I prayed that God would let the right people hear this right message that will help them on the path that they want. That's my first faith, and then my most important one. My second is to have faith in yourself. You are capable of more than you give yourself credit for. There's a learning curve in almost everything that we do. Everyone says, well, I can't do that because I'm not technical. I can't do that because I don't like talking to people. I can't go out because I don't want to be pushy. I can't do that and I can't do that. If you say that to yourself, then you're absolutely right. You can't. But you can do any of it. You might have to learn. You might have to get out of your comfort box. You might have to fail once or twice and then figure out the right way to do it. You might have to use Google to figure out how to do things. But you have to understand that you have everything you need within you to complete it and to take action. No one else can do it for you. Next, you need to have faith in the company. This company is amazing. They don't get it right all the time, but I have faith in their product. I have faith in their coordination. I have faith in our future. It is a debt-free company. I have faith in Sarah and Shelly and Sean and the people running this company that I am working I'm working with the right people. Yes, there might be some issues that frustrate us, but you know what? I know at the end of the day that I am working with and I have faith in the company and the product that I'm selling. I know that is the best product out there. I have to have that faith, even when I don't see it or feel it. I've had the beautiful blessing to be able to spend much time with them when I was a part of the founder circle and the advisory boards and the trips out there and on focus groups. And I know the heart of the people who run this company, and the company in itself is all about you and the demonstrators, and they do the best they can and all they can, and are willing to continue to change and do better to support us. Next, faith in your teammates. They are always more capable than what they give themselves credit for. So many times you have to have faith in them for them, because just like you don't believe you're capable. You don't know what's out there. You don't know the big picture. So you have to have faith in that big picture for them. Show it to them. Believe that they can accomplish it. So many times. And it makes me sad. I hear leaders who say, well, I don't have anyone on my team that wants to work. I don't have anyone on my team that can promote. I don't have, all my team are all hobbyists. I don't have anybody who wants to do anything. That breaks my heart, because I could see that same team. I could have that same team in front of me, and I believe every one of them is capable of sharing and selling and buying and loving and serving. And when I have faith in them, when you have faith in them, you bring it out in them. They're all capable of it. Next, faith in this system, not second guessing everything that you're doing. If you don't have faith in what I teach you and know that it comes from a place of experience and a place from effectiveness, then it won't work. If you're not taking action on something because, she says it's going to work, but I don't believe it. It's not going to work for me. It's not working. It would never work for me. I have customers that don't buy, or no one around me wants to book a party, and nobody wants to buy. Nobody wants to stamp with me. And when you don't have faith in the system, it's not going to work. Don't let the negativity crack into your team. You need to keep it as positive as you can. One of the analogies that I use, and I was taught, this is a real business analogy, by the way, I'm going to share it with you here coming up, but you're going to put it into the Stampin' Up world, is the red water, blue water analogy. And I've shared this many times, and it became a mantra of mine about 7 years ago. I think when the day and age of Facebook was taking over and all the groups, and there was Yahoo groups, and you could see all this bitterness happening between wonderful demonstrators, but there was like this competitiveness, or there was, this business is better, doing it all online or doing it face to face, or there was always this it's what I call the blue water, red water. I see it within teams. I see it within just demonstrators in general. And every company has it. Again, we're not immune to it. So, a partner of mine that I had started about 7 years ago, and any partner that I partner with and works for me, we talk about the blue water and the red water, and that we will always be in the blue water. We have to swim there with all of our might. We cannot get sucked into the red water. If I see the red water, we squash it and we get out of it. So I want you to focus on the blue water, swimming in the blue water. I can see red water happening all the time around us in social media and in, chatter on Facebook groups and even in leader groups and everywhere, or even just conversations at events and conversations at your team meeting, conversations that you have with demonstrators in general. Is our words producing blue water or red water? Where do you swim? And this is what I want you to focus on. Here are some red ocean or red water strategies. And like I said, this is a real business strategy. So this is not something that I made up, but this is something that I have taken into my own business. So these are some red ocean strategies that we compete in existing markets. That means we focus on what everybody else is doing, and we're going to try to do the same thing. That's working for them. That's going to work for me. I'm going to try to compete with what's working for somebody else. Number 2 is we're going to go out there and beat them. As a matter of fact, you know what? We focus on other demonstrators as our competition, or some of us I've seen even think our teams are our competition or our uplines are competition. That's the red ocean. Also in the red ocean is engaging in disagreements or just venting, that we have to be right. Remember, are you happy or are you right? That engaging in disagreements in your Stampin' Up! Business this is your business. It's not a place where you have to have disagreements. Next is to exploiting existing demand. So this is, again, that's corporate lingo, but this is very important, especially with this back order situations that we've had and probably will continue to have, is that if something is an existing demand, don't exploit it. Don't make it, this is the biggest and the best, and this is what we got to focus on, but it's all gone. And so what's Stampin' Up! Doing? And whatever. We don't exploit the existing demand. We got to create a new demand, okay? So if something is on demand and it's gone, let it go. You got to create your new one, which that's a blue ocean strategy. We'll get there. The other one that I put on here and added it to myself is encouraging and participating in venting. Your venting makes you feel better. That creates those sharks, and that's like feeding those sharks. That's what venting does. So let's see some blue ocean strategies. We want to create a new market space. So let's remember, red ocean strategy was competing in the existing market space. You want to create a new one. What can you offer that's different than anybody else offers? Or maybe it's the same thing, but you offer it with your stamping style, your product choice, your positive attitude, your team, you. You can even do the same kind of a class, but you're going to make it yours. You can market it differently, engage in it differently. You can set your classroom up differently. You can just create a new market space. Do not try to recreate someone else's existing market space. Next, remember, it was all about beating the competition. I want you to make the competition irrelevant in what you do. It doesn't matter what anybody else is doing. You are going to pave your own way, do your own thing, and be you. That's why people will stamp with you. Don't say, well, I'm not as good as her. I don't have the skills she does, or I don't have that computer, or I don't have her space, or I don't have her money, or I don't have this. That's you're focusing on your competition. You don't have to beat them. You will only focus on you. Your competition is irrelevant in what happens to you. Avoid disagreements by having to be right. It's okay if people don't agree with you online. It's okay if people don't have the same vision as you. It's okay if they run their business differently. You do not always have to be right. Remember, competition is irrelevant. You have your own market space, and it's new. You don't have to worry about what if people are doing it the way you're doing it, or if people have different opinions than you do. Create and capture new demand. So remember, what can you focus on that's new and create a demand for that? We have so many ways that we can create new techniques, new class series, new events, running a new stamp camp, a new retreat, doing it on a cruise ship, doing it at a retreat center, doing it in your basement, doing it at a best friend's house, doing it at a local whatever. You need to have a new demand. not focusing on an existing one that is in such high demand that it's going out. Lastly, avoid venting, but instead focusing on positive solutions with your team, with anybody that you work with. This is the blue ocean strategy. Competition is irrelevant. I focus on your sister demonstrators, your brother demonstrators. We are all in this together. And the better we all do, the better the company does. And at the end of the day, that is your strength. And people will flock to you because they feel that and know that coming out of you. But when you see your fellow demonstrators as competition, that's the red ocean, and you will feel that tension while you're there and the sharks and the biting. Lastly, I want to talk to you about creating the business that you desire. I put my logo on this one because be creative is the mantra of every aspect of my creative business and my business and my life. That you need to create what you want. This is about building the business that you desire. You work for you. Stampin' Up! It just supplies you with some awesome products, and they make your business, running your business, easier. But at the end of the day, the positive fortress you have, the business you put out, is not dependent upon them at all. You get to choose how you want to run your business every day. Your practices that you do should have your heart at them, not Stampin' Up! You do not have to agree with everything they do. You do not have to embrace every product they offer or every concept they put out. Find the ones that you love and go with it, or create your own. It's you and your business that's going to make the difference and make other people attract to you and flock to your business. Stampin' Up! Is the same across the board for every demonstrator. And what the difference is and what you do with it is up to you. What is your business name? What is your team name? What's your tagline? What's your theme? The Be Creative is one that I did because I want to encourage everyone to be creative in life. Sometimes I used to have to be really creative in how I was even going to pay my bills in a month, or how I'm going to decorate my bedroom, or how I'm going to even work my schedule that week. I had to be really creative sometimes. And at the heart of the hearts, whenever I'm disappointed in something or frustrated with something within my business that might be caused by Stampin' Up! Or caused by something else, at the end of the day, it is up to me to make my business, my creating business, what I want it to look like. Creating that business of gratitude where people feel appreciated and acknowledged is going to make them come back to you. Lastly, let me ask you these questions to think on. What do you love to do? What's your favorite part of your business? What's your favorite class and the favorite thing you love to do? Then do more of it. Find a way to make money at it. Realize that you can't do it all. You can't do every single aspect. You can't do scrapbooking and punch art and technique and card making and cute 3D projects. You can't do crazy, projects that are super complicated plus focus on simple stamping. So you got to focus on what do you love to make? What do you have the talent at? And then find a way to make money at it. Do videos on it. Find a way to type up tutorials that are exclusive. Find a ways to create unique projects and then run a class on it. It's all up to you to choose what you love the most and then to do more of it. And then you're going to attract the people around you that love the same thing, that have those same desires. At the end of the day, you can't force yourself to be competitive and do what everyone else is doing. Remember to create your own market space. Create your own product that you love and that you know you are gifted at. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you're leaving inspired. You definitely have some homework to do. Filling out the time management sheet is the most important thing to do today. The rest of it was definitely some thought. Finding a helper if you need to, you can take action there. Lastly, I'm going to challenge you to clean your stamp rooms. We have to get unoverwhelmed, unstressed, and cleared out. That's the number one thing you can do to start off your new year, is to completely purge your stamp room and get it cleaned and get rid of all the old stuff. Do a retired stamp sale, a BOGO sale, get some helpers in there if you need to. but start off clean and clear-headed. I hope that I've given you some things to think about and that you can actually take action on. Next week, we're going to talk about building the best customers. So we're going to talk about ways that we run our classes, price our classes, things that we do for our customers, customer service, and everything in there that is going to help us build the customers that when they come to us, they want to buy and participate and engage and feel loyal with you. All right, thank you guys. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you next week.